What is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome to Collectors Gone Digital. My name is Josh, and on today's episode, we're talking about different ways the VeVeVerse can complement our collectibles. Now, I happen to be filming this during a really big thunderstorm. I actually think I have a I do. I have a thunderstorm warning on my phone. The power's already gone out once, so I hope it doesn't go out twice while I'm filming this. So for that reason, I'm going to keep the intro short. I want to get right into it. You guys know what to do. Grab a drink, grab a snack, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Now, shout out to Osman, shout out to 𝗘𝗿𝗄𝗍, shout out to all the Alien fans, because we just had the Xenomorph get announced, and this is a character I know some people have been waiting for a while. It does look like they've crossed that line now. And I mentioned with the Venom and Carnage drops how they can't go backwards after revealing the quality that they did with those two. Now, in this case, the Xenomorph didn't get that cinematic drop promo, but it does look like they're sticking with the highest quality format, which is awesome to see. As I mentioned before, I don't think we're going to see all those details on the app, and that is how the Venom and Carnage pieces ended up turning out. But the Xenomorph is looking awesome, and to my surprise, it's animated, which I was not expecting. It's got a low edition size. The price is controversial at 50 gems. We did discuss in the VeVe space this past weekend that it should have a lower price point. But as always, let me know in the comment section down below, yay or nay. Are you guys going to be going for it or not? For the first point on today's list, I want to talk about exclusive drop events. It is going to be a point I touched on in one of our last episodes, but for anyone who missed it, you could allow holders of a certain piece or people who qualify in some way, maybe it's MCP points, to visit exclusive events inside the VeVeVerse that premiere collectible announcements. So for example, VeVe just announced a new music track with 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏, and there's a pool of people who qualify for a free craft. If VeVe were to open the gates to the VeVeVerse, then they can run an exclusive event for those people who maybe they play the track for them. They dive deeper into the history of the album. Maybe Ron himself is there and users can converse with him. But exclusive events you have to qualify for in some way. And if you don't qualify, then you're just left with the standard Medium article. The drop is announced. Nope, I don't qualify. I don't have the jukebox. But if I am still interested in learning more about the drop, then I can go to the article, get the edition size, the price point, and that type of stuff. Now, VeVe could just have a standard premiere space, kind of like a movie premiere, red carpet and all that. But they can also tailor each experience to the brand that's dropping, which we will also get into later on. Next up, I have interactivity, a very broad term. So what I mean here is, let's say, for example, we're going back to VeVe. We're talking about the Xenomorph and how we did on all the latest drops. Instead of just talking about the collectible on an X space, I can spawn the collectible that I just got on drop right up in front of everybody with the mint number. And for those who didn't even get it on drop, they can now see what it looks like in a virtual environment. Now, on top of that, you could also incorporate gaming challenges into your live shows. So think about the giveaways. In most spaces, you got somebody clicking the soundboard with the Jeopardy music, or you might have somebody spinning a wheel. Running your space and having your viewers immersed in a virtual environment now opens up many more doors to get them involved. And one way is with your collectibles. So for example, let's take Boo's door, and we're talking about the Xenomorph, right? A lot. So let's stay with him. Is it a him? Wait, it. So let's stay with it. Yeah, it. Let's say you build a stage and you place 20 of Boo's doors on the stage. You place a Xenomorph behind one of them. Then you have a line of contestants to guess or open one door at a time. Kind of like a deal or no deal setup. And then the person who ends up opening the door and finding a Xenomorph gets the Xenomorph. If VeVe enables transfers, but you know. But that game would just be one example of a way you can get your user base more involved with the collectibles. Next up, I have cinematics, and one that I'm really excited for. So creator tools will allow users to showcase collectibles in ways never seen before. When this happens, the overall quality of content will increase, and that's because we're obviously quite limited with what we can do on the app right now. The building and camera features will also allow for short films and movies to be produced. And what's interesting about that is there are a number of people in our community who are directly involved in the film space. So it's going to be interesting to see what those people do with these types of tools, if they do anything at all. We talked about building different environments. You can build different sets to put your different collectibles in and then film your movie. You are going to have a green screen texture, I'm pretty sure. You know, I got Elsa on screen. You can put Elsa on a box, put a flat plane behind her, and then green screen texture the box and the plane and have her on a mountain, right? So I am so eager to get my hands on these tools, and once I do, I do think it's going to change a lot. So we started the video talking about exclusive drop events. We're now at Immersive Promos, which is something you could have at these drop events. But I did mention how the drop event could be just a general space with a red carpet, that type of thing. In this case, I'm talking about creating an environment that represents each drop, or even using the collectible itself as the environment. So in this case, the Little Mermaid piece or the Cars V8 Cafe, that could be the environment itself to promote the actual drop. So here's what I mean by that. We talked about creating an environment that people can visit beforehand as the drop is getting announced. So what if those people who qualify for that exclusive drop event visit the event and then spawn in the middle of the V8 Cafe all of a sudden? And this is before the drop. Or spawn in the middle of the Little Mermaid diorama. How is that any different from them showing a 2D picture of it, right? You're still seeing it. Maybe you walk into the V8 Cafe and you have Alex and Reese there to answer questions. I don't know, I'm just, random thoughts, but those would be examples of using the actual collectible as the environment. Well, let's say, you go back to a 𝗙𝗿𝗏𝗀𝗃 or a Hulk or a Wolverine, you build an environment for those collectibles, and then now it's also a space where maybe I didn't even qualify for the exclusive drop event, where I didn't get to experience this environment before the drop. Now that I've gone for the drop, gotten a Wolverine, a Hulk, or a 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗀𝗏, now I can go back to that environment, experience it for myself, and take some photos with the collectible. Another use case, in a way. I'm really interested to see how this video turns out, guys, because I'm just spewing random thoughts here, so I don't know if any of this is going to make sense in the end, but fingers crossed. Alright, so we've talked about exclusive drop events, how you can mix those drop events with immersive environments, but the VeVeVerse can also help make crafting better. And here's how. Depending on what the craft is, VeVe can build a map that pushes users through an experience where at the end of that experience, the user is given the opportunity to craft. I've mentioned before on the channel that I'm a big fan of Destiny. We've actually played it on the channel before. But there's a game mode in that game called Trials of Osiris. And how it works is you have 3 chances to win 10 games. Each game is 3 versus 3. It's kind of like a search and destroy from Call of Duty. You only have 1 life. Once you're eliminated, you're gone. And then once you win all rounds, you win the game. When you win 10 games, provided you don't lose more than 3 times, then you get taken to this special environment that you have to walk through. And at the end, there's this chest you open for the opportunity to win exclusive rewards. That environment is a place you cannot experience unless you've won 10 rounds of Trials of Osiris. It's the only way you can get to that place in the game. So if you're going to craft something on VeVe, those experiences should be exclusive as well. It would be something that users would only experience if they were going to craft the item. So picture a concert in Fortnite having tickets as NFTs. There are many users who would now buy those tickets because they don't want to miss out on that experience. In other words, you would now incentivize people to craft the collectible because they don't want to miss out on that experience. I think the first ever crafting we had was the Disney potion. Imagine you walk up to some platform where you have the Mickey Mouse sorcerer stirring a pot, right? And then you have some sort of animation that comes out of that pot. Now, another awesome way I think the VeVeVerse is going to complement our collectibles is through live streaming. And this is because live streaming isn't really a thing on VeVe right now. Well, it is and it isn't. I'll explain. The current approach right now to live content in our community, at least for the most part, is kind of just sitting in front of a screen and talking. When you incorporate the gaming aspect of having an avatar that you can control and just non-stop stuff moving on screen, the VeVeVerse, alongside our collectibles inside the VeVeVerse, are now going to open up a lot more doors for creators in terms of live content. And in terms of like the, the shows and stuff like that we were talking about before, all of that can either be pre-recorded or live. Now, when this starts happening, what we're going to start seeing is more content around collectibles and stuff like that on the platform in general, but it's also going to encourage more people to create content as well. So we're going to start seeing more creators. If you combine any of the points that we've talked about so far on the list with live streaming, right? You click that go live button and you share it with your audience, right? The immersive crafting, the exclusive events, all that content now becomes more valuable. And with live streaming being one of the best ways to build a brand nowadays, that not only helps the creator, but it also helps the platform dramatically, because we're talking about user-generated content here and a passionate community. You mix those two together and we're going to start seeing just a load of content come out of nowhere. That helps everyone. This is another way the VeVeVerse is going to complement our collectibles, providing a virtual environment where you can run competitions, again, either pre-recorded or live, and you can do this in many different ways. So as always, here's an example. Build an environment for the Xenomorph in 1 hour. Maybe you have 4 different contestants, you have a grid, split that grid up into 4 different sections, where each one can build an environment, and the best one wins. Here's another example. Decorate a space with a pre-selected inventory. So now maybe each one of those 4 contestants are placed into a box. You, as the host of the show, have selected an inventory that each one of these people have to use to build a room in that box. There's so many different things you can do with this, and with relation to our last point, there's so much content that will come out of this as well. Ladies and gents, that is going to conclude today's episode. I hope you enjoyed. Those are some ways that the VeVeVerse will complement our collectibles. The storm's still happening, so I'm going to keep the outro short as well. But if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And as for our next, I will catch you then.